back in the mix. One more again. I'm Aziz.
And I'm Pikahsso. Verbadelic.
And man, we're back with another show with a wonderful guest. Super important. This is a family moment. This is kind of a family reunion type of situation. In the building with us right now, we have Dr. Saleemah Fahmi in the building.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, wow. See how she said that? So nice. So soft. Today's episode, we wanted to touch on health. We wanted to get into what is kind of in front of us, and we've been facing this ever since the pandemic hit. You know, we were kind of just living our lives, but when the pandemic hit, things kind of shifted and people really started to get that Obamacare. So let's dive into certain aspects of who you are, but then we'll kind of jump into what is happening in the world right now when it comes to the health of Black men and women. But people in general, we seem to be falling off. Like, we are literally dying at a rapid rate that I have not witnessed. And it seems like it skipped over a generation. Like, my parents, their peers aren't dying the way that my peers are dying. And that's kind of weird for me. You know, when I look back on it, I go to more funerals than they go to. And I can't figure this out. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, man, it's getting real rampant out here, especially in the hip hop community. A lot of people, they're not taking health seriously. We're not trying to be like we are just like super duper serious, but it's very serious in the hip hop community. People just taking life for a joke. They think it's like some sort of video game. Like we can just, our body can intake all this kind of stuff. So we have this sister here that's going to propagate the knowledge to y'all and let y'all know the do's and the don'ts and what we can do to help ourselves live longer, because the whole objective is to live.
Absolutely.
It's the whole objective in life, I think. I think you want to live.
I think that's why they call it life.
Yeah, life.
I think that's the whole life aspect is living. So yeah. Let's start with where you are right now with Dr. Saleemah Fahmi, Endomed. Let's start right there. So tell us about it.
Well, going back to actually what you said,
Uh-huh.
speaking in regard to your parents,
right? That
generation still living,
right?
And people that are our age. I was born in the 70s, you know,
70s,
just like, yeah,
myself,
exactly.
Yes.
So you have to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
The way that our parents grew up, number one,
mm-hmm.
carried out their early adulthood, even to their late adulthood, was a lot different than what we do nowadays.
Facts.
The way that we raise our children is different than the way that they raised us.
We just talked about that.
So when you think about that lifestyle,
uh-huh.
that's what contributes to a lot of what you're seeing now. Mm-hmm. You know, our parents, you know, when they were leaving home from work, they didn't stop through the drive-through. They went home, and somebody got in the kitchen and cooked a decent meal. Remember that?
I remember.
Exactly.
I remember it.
So the way that we live our lives,
uh-huh.
you know, the sedentary lifestyle, the convenience lifestyle,
yeah,
the entertainment, enjoy ourselves way too much lifestyle.
Yeah,
that's what leads to a lot of the, you know, what we see as mortality. People are dying.
Facts.
That's what's leading to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was saying, you know, to a friend, I was like, you know, I'm 49, you know, knocking on 50. I was born with hip hop. So, and I think about my grandparents when they were 50. Literally, they were grandparents. They weren't out kicking it at the club. They weren't, you know, throwing back shots. They weren't doing a lot of things that are propagated in today's society, like, oh, the new 50, you know, what is it, like 50 is the new 30.
Exactly.
And, you know, my Bernice didn't say that.
And my body isn't still 30. My body is a good 47 years old.
You better tell it.
And you have to treat it as such.
I believe that.
I think when they say that, that's just an excuse to be dumb, to do stuff to your body. The 50 is the new 30. I heard people, oh man, I'm drinking this. So when they make those statements like this, it's a way so people can condone their bad behavior. And I don't want to look like I'm being like some, because I don't know, it knows I've eaten bad, but I'm 53 years old.
Right.
And I'm in hip hop, and in hip hop, you don't have to be. I've never smoked, never drunk, or nothing like that. I've always tried to keep myself well grounded. I never try to eat halal meat, and I was raised up in a in a Muslim upbringing, and that was a good part of me. It kept me eating healthy, and I still kept it to this day, and I still try to keep those morals and those principles. And I know you want to have fun, but some of that stuff you cannot inject in my life. And even trying to eat healthy, I still have gotten sick. Trying to eat healthy, I still have gotten sick.
Right.
And that happens.
Right.
And the thing about it is that, even me, myself, I got a scar right here.
Right.
I had to have open heart surgery at the age of 34?
Wow.
You wouldn't think that someone in my health, my age, the way, and I take care of myself. I take pride in taking care of myself. But even with me, I got sick. And just like you said, taking care of yourself, it doesn't mean that you won't ever get ill, but my recovery was a lot better.
The bounce back is real.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. And like I dealt with the COVID spout and I thought I was out of there. Everybody that personally knew me at the moment, I was getting my affairs in order. And, I kept it real. I called Cedric. I was like, okay, my funeral arrangements, I want this said. I don't care who's there. I don't care what my mama gonna tell you. This is what I want said. This is how I want it done. And this is, as far as my assets, this is how I want them to go. Because I wasn't playing around with it, but that reality check on mortality was so real that it extremely just altered how I live to this day and moving forward. Like there's no games to be played. Like I'm not playing games, and I recognize that there's more behind me than there is in front of me. So if I want to have something in front of me, I need to change what's going on. Hey man,
not to cut you off, you said something that just made me think. Do you think when people get to like our age, I'm 53, I have no problem admitting that. You think people be thinking I've already damaged my body, so I might as well just go on out with a blaze? Because I know a guy, I'm not going to put his name out. You know what he said?
What's that?
Man, I wish I died. When I died, turn me upside down. And when it happened, please, man, please, God, don't let me die like this. So you think sometimes when people, you're in the profession, when they get to our age, they be like, I figured I spent 20, 30 years messing my body up. I might as well just go out with a blast. But you might just go out and be a burden on somebody, like they're your kids or whatever. You think basically I'm saying, do you think when you get a certain age, is it too late to get yourself back in order? Some people just, I'm 50, I might as well just go ahead and die happy.
Well, I think you have to just look at that mindset of that person.
Right.
Me, I'm 47 years old, and yes, I may have, more time behind me than in front of me, maybe.
Right.
But people that take care of themselves, they may live to their 80s, 90s. And when you think about that, you guys talk about the point of life is living.
Right.
But we got to think about the quality of that life.
Yes.
Do you want to be sitting up, getting fed applesauce, for the last 20 or 30 years? And when we think about it, a lot of people don't just drop down. That's a mercy to just drop down and die.
True.
How many people suffer? For decades.
It's like you've been talking to us.
For decades.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
With people taking care of them, your loved ones taking care of you. So I think people have to change that mindset and just not think so selfishly. You have to think about the burden that you're putting on your children and the people that love you if you don't take care of yourself. Wow. If you don't take care of yourself, someone else will be taking care of you.
Man, that's food for thought, right?
I was telling somebody the other day, I was telling my friend, man, did you just gonna die that easy, man? What makes you think God or Allah, whatever God is gonna make you do that? What if you just live? Because sometimes we think in our black communities, we think that we gonna crash. I thought I'd be dead by 25. I'm gonna be honest with I'm no gangster, but I'll be 25. I'm probably out of here. I'm still living. And you still gotta face all these consequences. And if you don't take care of yourself, like she just said, you be in some vegetative state, getting on your kids' nerves. That is my biggest fear, to get on my daughter, my grandson, like, they got to take care of me, man. So I try my best to do what I can. And that's why we have this sister that can help us. I try my best to jog as much as I can and keep myself in as much shape as I humanly can. Because some people think in the community, they're going to check out at 50, 35 years old. And you will live to be 53. I'm 53, February 1st, 1970. And I'm thinking like, wow, I still got to face this nation. What if you live to 100?
Right.
That's scary. Man, that's scary. And a lot of people and a lot of people, like you just said, a lot of people hope they can die so they don't have to deal with all that.
Right.
Unfortunately, life don't work that way most of the time.
Not at all.
You be living, getting on somebody's nerves.
Right.
So,
man, that sucks.
Yeah, that's scary, ain't it?
Yeah, but there's so much preparation that goes into just getting prepared for that moment. So we can talk about exercise and how we eat and what we eat and when we eat, but then there's a side of family, how we treat, how they treat. In other words, how we treat them, how they treat us. Because you can be 85 in a bad shape, but if you have a family structure, you know what I'm saying, that is there and that loves you and that takes care of you, that's a lot different than the person whose family ain't about jack, and they will dump you at the next person's, but they will knock on the door and put you on the porch and drive off.
You think it's your obligation to help you out your family? Some people don't think that.
Well, once again, I also believe that what you put into it is what you get out of it. Mm-hmm. So if you put in garbage, if you treat people like garbage on your way in and raising them, they're going to treat you like garbage. But that's also not a guarantee. That's why I have more than one child. You know what I'm saying? I got to roll the dice. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to get me right. One of y'all gonna have to do right by me. And I will not be in the back room while you up front smoking weed, playing PlayStation with your homeboys, and I'm in the back on a ventilator.
Wow.
Can't do it.
Ooh-wee.
Good point.
Can't do it. So let's get back to you for a second. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of traveling down the yellow brick road, and I'm going from Skyline.
Class of 93.
Class of 93. Then we go to FAMU.
Exactly. On the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida.
What she said. And then we go to NYU.
For medical school.
East Coast. Okay. And then we come back down here.
Back home, UT Southwestern. For residency and fellowship, fellowship in endocrinology. So what is endocrinology?
Yes.
Endocrinology is the medical practice that deals with hormones. Okay. And most people might think, hormones, female hormones, testosterone. But the biggest hormones that I deal with on a day-to-day is insulin. Insulin is the major hormone. Why?
Why?
It's because insulin resistance leads to what?
Diabetes?
Diabetes.
All day long.
My mama had diabetes.
Diabetes is everywhere.
Yes, indeed.
And the lifestyle that we lead, this Western diet that we have, this Western lifestyle that we have, it propagates more diabetes.
Indeed.
And I'm going to explain a little something that a lot of people don't realize.
Okay.
Diabetes is caused by something called insulin resistance, right? Our bodies don't respond well to the insulin that we make.
Okay.
When you look at people that look like me and you,
right,
melanated in this country, we're the descendants of who? The enslaved.
Exactly.
So you can imagine, 200 years ago, if you had to work in the field all day long on little nutrition, insulin resistance might be advantageous, right?
Facts.
So when you think about the fact that we've been bred in this country for 400 years to work in the field all day on very little nutrition, it's no surprise that fast forward to 2023, this insulin resistance that used to serve us is now killing us. Because we all get diabetes, because our bodies don't respond well to insulin, the blood sugars are higher, and we don't have a lack of food. You can get food essentially on any corner. Wow. And we're not picking cotton all day.
Right.
We're sitting working from home on a computer.
Right.
Yeah, people don't think about that.
I thought it was strange that as a child, I'm a kid, and during this time, this was my week as a kid. I went to school, then I went to football practice, got out of football practice or whatever sport, and then I went to martial arts practice. I was doing double up. I was running track, I was playing basketball, I was doing so much, but martial arts was my main thing that I would do year round, no matter what. When I would go to the doctor at the age of 12, he said, "You have high blood pressure." I was like, what does that mean for me as a kid that, I'm doing nonstop all the time, period. And still, I have high blood pressure.
You got to go back to our ancestry. We got to go way back. We got to talk about the Middle Passage now.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So when our ancestors came across those oceans, those of us that survived, were the ones that didn't get dehydrated and die of volume depletion. How did they not die of volume depletion? They were able to hold on to fluid, hold on to sodium, hold on to salt, and keep their blood pressure up. So we are the descendants of the ones that came over that had a propensity for high blood pressure. And so when you look at us, the descendants of the enslaved, we can say, oh, all those black folks, they unhealthy because they eat horrible and they ate Popeyes every other day and eating fried chicken and
strawberry biscuit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you think about it now, yes, our lifestyle does contribute a great deal to it. But you also have to accept the fact that we have preponderances. You were a child and you were already at risk for high blood pressure. Right? Why? Because your ancestors came from that lineage.
Wow.
Exactly.
Man, you know what? I never.
We don't think about that.
I didn't ever.
And so, but with that being said, that means that people that look like us can't do what everybody else does.
Thank you.
It's killing us. Literally, it's killing us. We get diabetes at a higher rate. We die of high blood pressure, stroke, heart attacks at a higher rate.
Indeed.
Man,
Indeed.
This is eye-opening for me. I'm feeling like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, to take it down that road, because I don't think we actually ever really address it from that standpoint. And the reason that we don't is because of the fact that we're Black in America, and according to everything that we're taught, our existence basically started right in the fields. When the cotton was growing, that's kind of when we popped out of existence. So none of this information about what it took to get us here. We understand that we survived. Like a lot of us survived this trip.
And we survived slavery.
Yes. But in order to do that, you know what I'm saying?
Cost?
At
what cost? Exactly.
At what cost? You know, it kind of reminds me of in Africa, they're talking about the bighorn rhinoceros, and how the poachers have been cutting off the horns of the rhinoceros. So now over the years, they no longer grow a big horn.
Darwinism.
They can't grow a big horn anymore, because now the ones that were left that didn't get killed were the shorter horn, and they become the dominant ones.
It's like Darwinism.
Yeah, and now they don't have that main thing that they need to truly protect themselves over the years, because they were basically wiped out. Darwinism.
I'm not smart, but I just know what that was.
Okay, cool. I like that, though.
But let me ask you a question. I love to be around erudites and Black African American women and men that's intellectually inclined. What made you decide to take the field you've taken, and what would you suggest to any other one?
Yeah.
Well, when I actually started medical school and started my journey towards medicine, I thought that I wanted to be that family practitioner, and I'd take care of the babies and the mothers and the everyone. And then I got to pediatrics, and I was like, nope. I'm not doing this. I love kids,
Wait a minute.
but I can't deal with kids when they're sick and crying and looking at me like, why are you sticking me with this needle? Couldn't do it.
Right.
And then I thought I was going to do internal medicine, but then I realized, you know what? I want for people that see me to actually have something wrong with them. Wow. And so I lean towards endocrinology. It's very interesting, the ebb and the flow of the hormones.
How you pronounce that word again?
Endocrinology.
Endocrinology.
So the endocrine glands, they produce hormones, and you have this beautiful dynamic of one goes up, it makes the other go down, and there's just
hyper.
Exactly.
Gotcha. I got
so, and again, reflecting back on my idea of going into family medicine, I actually am treating families now. Why?
Right.
Because diabetes runs in families.
Runs in the family.
And so I have, literally, and even with thyroid disease, I also treat a lot of thyroid disease. That's about the second most common disease that's prevalent in my practices is hypothyroidism. But with both of theirs, there's a strong family element. And when you look at diabetes, the family element is not only genetic, but a large part of it is environmental. And so when I see patients that are childbearing age, and I see that they come in with their children and they have diabetes already, and their child is overweight, hey, get your baby a new patient paperwork packet, because I need to see them too, so that they don't develop diabetes. And, we don't think about how our lifestyle really does impact on our children, but it does.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I like
we're going to touch on that. So let's get down to a few business things, because, we always like to enlighten people on the business side of doing medicine. And, when you started, your practice, you originally started at Southwest
I started my training there. So I did my residency there for 3 years, fellowship there, did all my research, and then I actually went out into private practice after that.
Okay. But you were in their building first.
6 years.
For 6 years?
6 long, very, very productive years.
Okay. And what made you decide to go off and get your own building, your standalone, which is in DeSoto?
Well, academics is a little different than community endocrinology. You actually see a lot more patients. Many practitioners that are in academics still spend a good amount of time doing research. And I knew that I just wanted to spend the majority of my time actually treating patients.
Okay.
And I enjoy it. I practice in essentially the community that raised me. A lot of old classmates, parents, school teachers, librarians, all that. So it is rewarding to really serve the community that raised me. But at the same time, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see my classmates' parents die prematurely sometimes due to complications of diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
When you say it's sad to see your classmates, students die, if you take good care of yourself, what do you think is I know you can't predict that, but what do you think is the life expectancy if you take good care of you, like a car? If you take good care of your body, what do you think? Like the average man should probably live to like 75 or 80?
Well, that's actually a little high for African American men.
You think so?
Yeah, the lowest life expectancy is actually for African American men. And I cannot give you numbers right now. I can get back to you with those numbers.
Oh, wow.
But for African American men, I believe it's in the early 60s.
I got 10 more years left.
Early 60s.
Like 7, 8, I'm out of here.
And then I believe above that, it's either African American women or Caucasian men, and then the longest life expectancy is of Caucasian women. And a lot of, but you got to think about it. A lot of our men do die young. Violence, gun violence, car accidents, things like that. That takes a lot of our men out early, and not even to mention HIV, things like that, where a lot of us die prematurely.
I was looking at, I say this to my children as far as, being realistic, because I have 3 boys, 1 little girl. And I tell them, look, you probably wanted to be a girl if you want to stick around, you know what I'm saying, a little bit longer, because like my dad died at 33, but he was murdered. But my grandfather, I don't know the exact age that he died, but it was in 79. I remember it clearly. And my grandmother didn't pass away until 2013.
Exactly.
Well,
when you think about men and women, it's not just genetics, it's also lifestyle. Typically, men will have a tendency to be heavier smokers, heavier drinkers. They probably go to the doctor a little less than many women do.
Yeah.
And so all those things really do make a pretty significant contribution to that earlier demise, I guess I should
So
say.
more men, you heard what she said?
Regular checkups, please.
Yes.
How many people do y'all know that have good health insurance and they never take off work to go to the doctors?
Yeah.
When you think of, again, reflecting back on our parents,
Right.
Reflecting back on what was available then, health-wise, lifestyle-wise, medication-wise, even if they did have something.
Right.
We have, when you look at people in this country, we have some of the best access to medications and medical care. People come here from all other places over the world to get treated here. But how many people here have good health insurance?
Right.
They don't go to the doctor. They don't go get checked out. They don't get their blood work checked. They don't know what their cholesterol level is. They don't know what their risk factors are.
Man, stop talking about me in my face.
Sorry.
Like, what is it? I'm taking this personal.
Honestly, what I think it must. Sorry, but I don't want to cut you off. I really, after talking to a lot of my friends, we play like, we got these big monolithic personalities, but a lot of it's just fear. It's just,
we're afraid.
It's fear. A lot of men are like, well, no, I'm scared. But deep down inside, a lot of people are scared. When I went to the doctor, my heart beating fast like this the whole way there. I'm just thinking, what's going to happen? Well, I got cancer. I'm overthinking everything. I'm nervous. My hand's shaking. If you can just get over that fear and just get used to it, everything will be copacetic. So a lot of African American men, like I said, they very...
Yeah. It's ego.
They got ego,
It's ego, but it's a lot of fear.
I was scared.
You can go into the doctor for men is almost like sleeping with someone unprotected that you don't know. and going to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? There's no difference. There's actually no difference. It's exactly the same, and you could just be going, just for a checkup, but you might as well be going to see if you got AIDS.
Yeah,
it's the exact
especially
same
if you live in that promiscuous lifestyle.
Yeah. Man, good luck.
Well, we know knowledge is power.
Yeah,
we all grew up on He-Man, and remember, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah,
remember
exactly.
that saying?
Yes. Indeed.
He-Man, stick it back.
Yeah. Indeed. So lately, in our peer group, me and Pikahsso, we've watched. Just last week, Daniel Jones.
He played with Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, and
he's a music director for Janet. He was on tour.
Passed away.
He passed away. He collapsed. Passed away. I don't know the details, but he's in his 40s. He's right in my peer group.
DJ Rodney from Mental Chaos.
He had a diabetic issue. He passed away.
The guy that I got on my shirt.
Big Hub.
Big Hub did a lot of our production. He passed away. Matter of fact, before he died, his foot got amputated. That was so sad to see.
And a lot of this sounds like it's from diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And it's real. When people think about diabetes, the whole idea of the blood sugar being elevated, people think people don't really die of high blood sugar. It's strokes and heart attacks. That's
why do we get? Because this is important. That's why I got my hub shirt, because I know we was talking about health, because he passed away from. I figured we'd be talking about diabetes. Why does a lot of people with diabetes? Why do they have to get their legs and phalanges and feet amputated? Why is that?
Because the circulation is poor. So when you have all that elevated blood sugar in your bloodstream, if it's not controlled, of course, honestly, diabetes is not a difficult disease to manage if you manage it. But so many people don't manage it. They wait too late. And those elevations in that blood sugar causes a lot of damage to those arteries. And those arteries, especially the ends of those arteries, they get damaged. The nerves don't get blood flow. They can't feel because the nerves are dying. Wow. They have numbness. They can't get adequate blood flow. So if they get an infection, their body can't clear it out. Mm-hmm. So you got a whole numb foot that's full of infection. Your body can't clear it. What do? We chop it off. And so that's why that happens. And people don't talk about this, and I know this is a probably sensitive subject, but when we think about diabetes and cardiovascular disease and other aspects of the body that are affected by poor circulation, erectile dysfunction is a big one that's caused by poor circulation, and not just from diabetes, but also smoking. So all those smokers out there, you got to think about that. If you're damaging your cardiovascular system, you got to realize that is a vascular organ, and you will do damage to that organ if you're damaging your vasculature with uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension, or even just smoking cigarettes.
And all them blue pills is not going to
it's not going to overcome that.
It's not going to do it.
If you can't get blood flow, you can't get blood flow.
No matter, even at the corner store, they got them right by the register. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna help.
But like you was saying, Aziz, there's a lot of people that pass. When it hurt me to see, like I said, we just paying homage to those people, and hopefully to propagate the knowledge. And like she said, have this sister come over and tell you, because we care. I care. And a lot of people look at me sometimes because I trim myself and I jog. But I remember I was gonna open for Raz Calf. That day I got sick, and everybody said, "Why you get sick? Because you've been eating healthy." But actually, when I was eating healthy, I think I over-vegetarian. What's the word? How we say it? Over-veganized. Mm-hmm. When I did that, I felt weak and kind of daunting, and kind of. I looked all haggard, and it's like I felt drained when I was eating healthy. I was like, it's like my body was. It's like it got addicted to all this junk. So when I took it, I was like I had an addiction. Like I was used to eating candy. When I went for like 3 years, but I eat meat, I felt exhausted.
And I think you have to listen to your body. And even if you do decide to, go vegan or to not eat certain foods, you have to make sure that your diet is really balanced. Make sure that it's healthy for you. How do you do that? You go get checked. You do have to listen to your body. I eat meat. I'm not a big meat eater. I don't eat pork. I grew up Muslim like you, still Muslim now. But you got to pay attention to what you're putting in your body. And just because something works for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So, there are a lot of different diets that are out there. And, even when people come to me, oh, well, what can I eat? What can I eat? What do I need to do?
Right.
The biggest thing is most things, not everything, most things in moderation are okay. But a lot of times people they want to play ignorant. You can't eat ice cream every single night and expect to be healthy. That's
Right.
just not gonna happen. You know,
Right.
we all love Bluebell, but that's just not gonna work for a lot of people. Why? Because it's cow's milk and it's too full of cholesterol. It's
Absolutely.
gonna clog up our arteries and give us all cardiovascular.
I mean, I can't do it at all because, 15 minutes later, y'all know where I am.
Listen to your body, exactly.
Lactose intolerant.
Blue, blue, blue.
Exactly.
That's all I'm gonna get.
So-
I'll be like,
Craig, welcome.
yeah, my
I'm
son,
gonna go with the
my
Pops.
youngest, Nasir, loves ice cream. And I tell him, because his sister, he got older siblings. His older sisters love to, just spoil him. And he'll come in with that ice cream, and I'll just be sitting there like, you know what's about to happen, right? And then he's like, so you gonna eat it anyway? He's like, I said, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And then he'll be running by me, going in my restroom, and I'll open the door and just sit there and look at him like, how you doing? How you
put him on
doing?
blast.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, Dad, I got it. I said, I know, but right now he hasn't learned how to say no. He hasn't personally learned that, you know what, this tastes so great, but I can't do it. And I tell him, like I told his older siblings, I really like this. I said, well, crackheads like crack. And I'm sure it makes them feel great. You know what I'm saying? But the after effects is what really bothers them. And I said, and that's kind of what you're getting in this micro moment. You're getting that same thing. So your body's check engine light is coming on. And instead, you just take a hammer and break out the light and, and still continue to eat it without putting the oil or whatever you got to do to, your vehicle. So I find that, listening to your body is something that we're just, we're ignorant. We like to ignore every sign, every truth, every commercial, and we want to feel like we are an exception to this rule.
To the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's normal to get sick if you eat poorly. Day in, day out. Drive through for breakfast, drive through for lunch, drive through for dinner. We don't exercise. We drink whatever we want. We love soda.
Oh my God, I
all
love
those
soda.
things.
We have to drink them things in the studio all the time. Y'all still have because you show me gulping on them Tahitian treats. I lived off Tahitian treats in the 90s. I probably still got it in my veins.
Yeah, it's coated red in there. It's a red
I used to drink
coated.
like 5 a day.
And just even getting back to Nasir, though, there's a valuable lesson in that. You
Right.
know, what you eat really does affect your body and the way you feel. He's learning that early, but you
Right.
just got to keep it going, keep that
Gotta keep
lesson
going.
going, understanding that, if you get too much sugar, if you're catching a little cold or something, eat some soup. Don't go eat a bunch of cookies and things like that. All that sugar and inflammation is just going to make it harder for you to get better. So just really just understanding how food is really meant to nourish us. It's not meant to hurt us. And
Right.
I tell people this. I'm like, before you eat, we all, we should say our grace before we eat. But if you're really praying over that food, you're not gonna eat a whole lot of stuff that is just damaging you and hurting your body. So we really want to put good things in. Food nutrition, it should be there to help us. Yes, we want to enjoy our food. We like a little sweet sometimes. We like a little deep fried sometimes. But
that's why half the people pray over the food. They pray over it just so they can overindulge or eat something that they know that they're not supposed to be eating. So they say, I'm going to pray over this right now and may it be blessed by the Lord. And then they know, because they know it's not good for them.
Speaking of prayer and religion and eating,
Yeah.
she just made me think of a book I think it's a good book about. It's inspired by Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called How to Eat to Live.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that book?
Yes.
book's
I've
been
read
around
it.
for a long
So
time.
that book is old. I'm telling my age. How to Eat to Live by Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
It
Yeah.
tell you like how to, like eating one time a day. A lot of people, it's just all about, like she said, discipline. But when you said that, not to cut you out, it made me think about that book. So that's a good book. Look it up. I need to reread it again with my elevated mind. I read it. My mom used to, not think of rest in peace. My mom used to make me read the Quran and all that. But now I'm glad because I got a lot of knowledge that I didn't realize I had this bestowed back in my mind. So How to Eat to Live by Honorable Elijah Muhammad is inspired by, you said the top, it says Farad Muhammad. It's a good book. Tell you the good ways to keep yourself in shape and just having discipline to eat one time a day. It was talking about like basically eating all that food, how long it take the meat to dissolve inside your body. I'm not a doctor like her, but maybe she can elaborate on it. But like how long it take meat to digest. That's why you shouldn't eat 3-4 times a day, because that's meat upon meat upon meat. If it take one steak 24 hours, you eat 3. That's 24 times 3.
Yeah, 72.
For it to digest. So what do you think about that?
So again, do what's right for you. Some people, and going back to that eating once a day, what's really popular now, a lot of people are doing that intermittent fasting, where they're only eating for maybe 6 hours out of the day. They may have one meal, during that, it might be at noon. They may eat another small meal at 6 p.m. and then they don't eat anything else for the rest of the day. So that goes back to that same story, that same idea of not overburdening your body with processing and digesting food. Now, I think a lot of the hype behind intermittent fasting, and even when you talk about things like how to eat to live, eating one time a day, when you overburden your body, a big part of it, as far as the intermittent fasting, a lot of people are trying to lose weight. Yeah. And when you think about that whole idea, when people are not constantly trying to digest food, and it's specifically not trying to digest carbohydrates, those insulin levels are able to come down. And when those insulin levels can come down, it does make it a lot easier for people to get that weight off. Insulin, again, it's a hormone, and it makes you store your carbohydrates. It makes you store them in a way, it ultimately is fat. And so when people intermittently fast, those insulin levels are able to come down because they're not constantly trying to digest foods and starches and sugars, even fruit. People think about fruit being healthy and this and that. If you're doing a whole bunch of watermelon, your sugar's going to be high because it's basically just sugar. It's fruit
There's
sugar.
a guy. I mean to interrupt you. There's a guy, you talk about watermelon, he's on the internet, and he was like, I don't know, close to like 280, 290, and for 50 days straight, he ate nothing but watermelon. And now he looks like the ghost from Christmas Past. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like everything is sucked in, and he's propagating this watermelon type of diet. And but at the same time, I'm looking at him like, somebody please pass him a sandwich.
We need to make sure that he does. So one other misnomer is that a lot of people that have uncontrolled diabetes, they lose weight because their sugar's so high their body can't even process it.
Right.
So it would be interesting to go back and take another look at him and find out really what's going on.
On the inside. Yeah, on the inside.
Not just on the outside.
I'm glad you said that too, man. Golly, thank you, Aziz. Some people think because you look good that you are good. Because people, that's what I hate when people do that with me. Because you look good, man. You don't know how I feel in the morning, and I don't want to put that out there to people just because you look cool and just because you can make yourself look cool in these camera lenses and all that. How you really feel, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. I've heard people tell me, "Man, Kyle, you looking good, man. But you don't know how my ankles feel this morning." So it's imperative that you really feel good for real. And not faking. Anybody can make themselves look good and put on fly clothes for this nice lights on you and make yourself feel that way. But how you really feel, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny, that goes to a point that I was making with my child earlier today.
Right.
I asked her, she's into the, doing the little mascara now, putting on a little lip gloss. And I said, hey, how much do you think this summer, since you've been out of school, do you think you spent more time putting stuff on your head, as in your face and dealing with your hair, as you have been putting stuff in your head? I said, think about that.
Marinate.
If people would just spend as much time as they thinking about what they're putting on their bodies, the clothes, for us, we all trying to look young, the moisturizers and all that stuff. If we would spend as much time with what we put on our body, with what we put in our body, thoughtfulness. Can I plan for my 3 meals a day so that I'm not going through the drive-through? Can I put as much time with, going out shopping, making sure you got the nice gear? How about I make sure I got the nice meals and I'm drinking enough water and I'm doing the proper things, taking me some vitamins if I need to take vitamins?
Right.
If we spend as much time thinking about what we put on our bodies, what we put on our heads, especially as, I'm a woman, I'm a mother. I have plenty of women friends, women patients, and I think about all the time that they spend on lashes and edges and hair and makeup.
Jeez.
Can we think about what we're putting inside of our bodies and not so much time on what we're putting on the outside of our bodies? How much better would we be?
I honestly think that the fact that people put so much energy into the outside and not the inside, it's an addictive factor, because now the inside is crumbling, which makes you have to put more on the outside. Mm-hmm. So you're having to make up for what you're lacking on the inside, because it's kind of just tearing down. Real quick, I'm taking a medication. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'm sure you are, called metformin. Mm-hmm. So metformin for me is like intermittent fasting with involuntary. Mm-hmm. So I can't eat as much as I would like to, and I'll go almost 12 to 16 hours, from my last meal to my first meal. It just does that. And it turned around and I lost in like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I lost like, about 14 pounds in 2 weeks. And now I'm getting used to that regimen. Mm-hmm. But just because this medicine did what it did to me, now I'm forced to think about what I eat throughout the day. Mm-hmm. And when I eat, what I eat. Because I come to the studio with Walter and I'm walking in like I got a toddler with me, because I got a bag with a salad in it. I got a couple of fruit snacks over here, and I got all this stuff, because I recognize that I don't eat as much, but mm-hmm. when I eat, mm-hmm. I sure better be eating something that's good, because I'm going to ruin. What's the point of me taking this medicine if I'm going to turn around?
If you're not doing your part.
Yeah, doing a double cheeseburger after that. So I basically have ruined it.
And I'm really glad you brought that up. Metformin, I need to do a whole video on metformin. Metformin gets such a bad name because so many people say, metformin ruined my kidneys and I'm on dialysis. No, uncontrolled diabetes ruined your kidneys, and that's why you're on dialysis. People think so many things about all these side effects, but the side effects of not controlling your blood pressure and not controlling that diabetes is stroke, heart attack, amputations, and death. And so people really need to think about that. Now, metformin is an insulin sensitizer. So it goes back to what we spoke about before, that metformin allows your tissues to respond better to the insulin that your pancreas is still able to make. Right. So again, insulin is a hormone. Insulin makes you crave more carbohydrates. So your appetite for a lot of people is not going to be as much. And because your insulin levels are able to come down, that hormone level comes down, it's easier to get that weight off when people are on metformin. So because I have all types of patients. Many patients come to me with difficulties with losing weight. And one thing that I talk about putting them, considering an insulin sensitizer like metformin, because when you allow those insulin levels to come down, whether it be from taking a medication or doing intermittent fasting, when those insulin levels come down, it allows those efforts that you're making towards eating right and exercise, it allows those efforts to show up in the form of being able to get the weight off for a lot of people.
Oh, okay. Well,
she's dropping jewels.
Yeah. Hey, at this point in my life, when I see a close friend of mine, Uptight, Chris Davis, member of the Slumpville family and everything, who motivated me. Without Uptight, I wouldn't be at this table right now, because I took a hiatus for about, 15 years to just be a regular person and stop doing music. And during that time, he's like, man, we got to do it. Let's release this project. Let's do this. Let's do this. And we had a conversation, and then I didn't hear from him. And I'm thinking, man, I think Uptight mad at me, because we had a disagreement. And one thing about me and Uptight, when we have a disagreement, we don't go long without resolving it, because we don't feel comfortable leaving things a certain way. So I'm calling, and then I get a phone call and I was told Uptight died. And you talking about I literally lost it. And I talked to Pikahsso, same thing, and everybody, and Bobo talked to him, Jalo, Willie Fresh, everybody is like, Uptight passed away, and I'm sick. And then I finally reach out, and I'm letting another friend of mine, King Ashok, know, and I'm really upset. And then we're video, we're on a duo. So we're doing a video call, and he was like, he's not gone. And he was at the hospital. He's like, let me show you. But long story short, because of his diabetes, had progressed to a point where it caused him to collapse. I think he had a heart attack or a stroke. I don't know all the details, but it made it to basically his wife saved his life on the spot until the ambulance came, but who knows how long his brain was without oxygen or whatever. So he's in the hospital, but this is since when?
It was like February when it happened.
Yeah, in February. Yeah. This is right along the lines of right after I did the Bobo
Luciano. Like on the Super Bowl time somewhere there?
Something like that.
I remember.
And ever since then, he's been in a vegetative state.
It happens. And
they're trying all kinds of things. They removed him from the hospital, and now he's in a long-term facility. This is a person but he sells life insurance for a living.
Yep.
Like he is about that life. But even with everything that he knew, he still was not prepared for a moment like this. And I'm looking like he has his wife, he has a daughter, and obviously he is taking care of them in, certain ways, but he's there, but he's not there. And he's young. He's not an old guy. He might be 47 as
47,
well.
48, so, went to Lincoln.
And we addressed this earlier. I'm thinking like, is my brother doomed to this state for who knows how long, he's going to have to be like this. And I'm praying that he recovers and pulls, out of this situation. But, I don't know those odds. And I think Sean Martin is in somewhat of the same. He's another musician.
Played for Kirk Franklin and
he played
RC
for Kirk Franklin,
and
all of that. Yeah, and I think he's in a similar situation. And, we're praying for them, but we're looking, we're staring down the barrel of mortality. And, if we don't wake up and if we don't address certain things, then these warning signs that we're given at the expense of others, will just go, it'll be for naught.
Exactly.
We're basically wasting their experience because we don't want to address our own issues.
We're not learning from it and adjusting our lifestyle so that we can, and no one knows the future. God is in control of all of this. But I feel like we need to do our part. I'll do my best to take care of myself. I'll do my best to keep myself healthy, reasonably. I'm not going to, say that I always eat perfect and I always exercise, but reasonably.
Right.
I take care of myself reasonably well.
I'm going to have to reiterate what you said. I think as African-American men, I think sometimes we're a little too cruel to one another. We're cold and carnivorous, and sometimes we just mentally abusive. So I think our mental state is messed up. We don't even know how to show love and have compassion. Just the art of love, I think. I know I'm sounding real Gandhi-ish right now. I think sometimes love and understanding and empathy will keep people living longer. Like this, that's uptight. People don't care no more, man. I care. I will not be. That's why we saying these names. We're not saying these names to make mockery. It's not for plagiarize their names or trying to get some likes. We really care. This uptight.
Right.
When uptight died, he called me on the phone. I can't remember last time I cried. I'm like, man, I should cry. I ain't cried in about 5-7 years.
Right.
We need to cry as black men. I think crying rinses us. I think the tears rinses your spirit. I think that's why God gave us our tears to cleanse our spirits. And and it goes back to what she's saying, mental health. We just got to get our mental right as black men so we can accept that. Because in a black community, we some of our African-American men can be extremely highfalutin and pretentious. And like I said, it's a big monolithic person, I'm nothing, but that's uptight. And when they're uptight, when we see an uptight, one of the greatest lyricists that ever walked the Dallas streets in such a situation like that, it debilitated our hearts. And sometimes our hearts being debilitated, it broke us down. And as black men, we need to be rebuilt so we can have empathy back and love on our kids. And even myself, I'm not on this microphone playing like I'm some loving guy, but that love. And hey man, uptight, you cool? You good?
He's my motivation. Uptight was my motivational speaker. Matter of fact, he used to get on my nerves. Call, because I know when he called, he gonna say something along the lines of, say, man, you need to be doing this. Man, we got to do this. Man, we got to do it right now. We got to seize the moment. And he would always say that, and I would be in my zone, like, I'll get to it. Who told me that I would be able to get to it? Who told me that I would be able to have the moment to do that? And I'm staring right down, again, down that long hallway where he told me, let's release it. And I pretended that we had all this time, and now we don't have this time, or should I say he no longer has this time, and I could have done something. And,
we take a lot for granted. We do.
Absolutely.
And we take ourselves for granted. We take our health for granted. Many of us do. And
Absolutely.
we really just have to take a realistic look at ourselves and what we're doing, and what we're doing to each other, how we're raising our kids, how we're treating our spouses. All of that matters. We're here to take care of ourselves, but we have to take care of each other. That's what it's about.
Right.
You know what?
She's right.
She is right. She's absolutely
people
right.
I'm not to cut you off, but I'm back. Not to end. I just want to end. She's right. I see people like, "Oh, you sick? I don't care." And he'd be like, "No, we don't care enough." Maybe I'm just sensitive. I'm a sensitive.
No.
I'm sensitive. Right. I'm very sensitive. I admit it. I used to hide it in, but in my older, I don't care no more. Maybe we don't care no more. Maybe we just hug on tight. Maybe we can look at each other like, I got my homeboy. I said, "Man, you good? Why?" I said, "I noticed your skin complexion is getting a little darker." He got very offended at me.
Right.
I'm getting goosebumps, my homeboy. But I could look at his skin. The skin shows. I'm not a doctor, but I can look at him. I looked at my auntie. I'm getting goosebumps. I can see her skin when she was ready to pass away. It got her hue. The hue of people know her color. It was like a brown, but her hue got real dark. That's usually a sign too. So it's nothing wrong. Like Mikey Culture, Mikey Culture. He said,
sir.
"Pikahsso, when you talk, I notice your handshake." I got a little offended, but I already knew that. When Tahiti, my rap partner, we did the Dallas Maverick things on PPT. Tahiti has Parkinson's. I remember one time I said, "Hey, Tahiti, I noticed, man, that your call and response is a little off." Oh, no, he got really offended. He said, "Pikahsso, I got offended because I know you've noticed that. It's nothing wrong with noticing your friend." Remember I told you, I said, "Take care of that cough," remember?
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that. We don't want to hear that in black. We get offended when you say that. Because, hey, Pikahsso.
It's a weakness. We see it as
Superman.
as a chink in our armor.
Yeah.
And, now as if we can no longer produce. We can no longer be accepted into the world like we're the weakling in the clan that is about to be put out to pasture. And none of us want to, ever be in that situation. So, I definitely understand that feeling and everything. And really, it's, this episode was important to me because I'm looking at, people that are disappearing right in front of my eyes. And again, this started with the COVID situation and oneself. Anthony, he passed away from COVID. 3. Bobby D from Shabazz 3. The list just keeps going and going and going.
Eddie from Fort Knox passed away.
Bobby D, you got that? Scruples?
Bobby D from Shabazz 3. Scruples from Fort Knox. These people some of them 45.
Yes.
I'm thinking they're a lot older than, you're 43.
But COVID really was a wake-up call. For those people that, what was one of the biggest factors with people dying from COVID? You remember? It was obesity. People being overweight. And we have to address the obesity, the acceptance of obesity in our community. Now, I love my people. But we have to be real about acceptance.
Fat shaming is
it's
what they
not healthy.
He said, "You're fat shaming."
It's not healthy. I'm sorry.
You're fat shaming.
But we have to be healthy. We have to,
I agree.
And it doesn't mean that you got to be some little skinny mini thing.
Right.
But if you're a big roly-poly thing, then you know that that's too much. But we accept it. We accept that in our society.
But
we
it's
do.
the skin
and
I'm in.
especially, and if we're gonna have that attitude, we have to understand that
consequences.
There is a consequence. There
Absolutely.
is a cost. There is a cost. And even just getting back to acceptance, but not just acceptance, but the promotion of it. Y'all know, y'all brothers.
Yeah.
Y'all like them thick. Y'all like them thick, but that thickness comes with a price.
Yeah.
And what they eating, y'all eating.
Facts.
And the whole family thick.
Remember
and
I told you
kids,
that?
And the kids thick.
I would think that we both got fat together.
Now everybody got diabetes.
Remember I told you that? Or did we just say
Everybody
that?
got heart disease.
I was dating
All
this chick.
of
We
us.
both got chubby together. I was like, "Look, we look a mess." We took a picture. We was like, "This look on the picture." I'm brutally honest. We look terrible. Do not post that picture. She said, "We look." Even when I lost weight, my stepdaddy said to me, he said, "Shahi," he didn't call me Pikahsso. He said, "Shahi, I'm so glad to see your face look the way God naturally made it.
Yeah.
You had my face. It got real pudgy."
Right.
That food made my face real bloated. Like,
Right.
I had some braids, I had some little hands like that. And I thought, in the black community, that's a sign of like,
That's
You
the
made
way
Term of
they
Vendetta, he
expect you to
fat.
look.
He got a big pot belly. That's in.
Oh, that boy eating good.
He eating
That's the
good.
first thing we say.
And
Oh yeah, he eating good.
Now tell me this: when you started losing weight, did people start criticizing it?
Yeah, yeah, they still, man, you got cancer?
You getting too thin.
You look
You're getting
sickly.
And the thing about it now is that with what I do
Can't
with
win.
diabetes, there are a lot of medicines out there that are very weight friendly. They help you to lose weight. Do you know how many times patients have told me, I'm losing too much weight, I'm getting too skinny. The people at church worried about
don't
me.
like it.
I can't fit into my clothes. I'm like, but you can fit into your kidneys now. How about that?
Tell him to say that again. Fit into. I love that.
Right.
I mean, come
Fit
on.
into
You're-
your kidneys.
Or you can fit into that casket. We got one that fit good with you.
So
One size fits
we
all.
have to take a realistic view
One size fits all.
of what we are and what we're doing to ourselves. This unhealthy lifestyle that's promoting this unhealthy body habitus. I mean, it's just, for me, it's a conspiracy. What is it going to do? We're going to die
Health
of
food costs a
diabetes
lot.
and high blood pressure and everything
Yes.
else. Steady trying to be thick.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, I took a picture of I'm gonna
right.
reiterate what she just said. I took a picture of me and this girl. We were eating pancakes and watching bad television. So our mind getting fat. You know, that bad, love and hip hop, that stuff is digital.
That's murder.
That's digital pollution.
That's medulla murder.
Like digital Maoism or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then we was taking pictures, eating that, and we took a photo like, I look horrible. I don't even want to upload. I'm just looking at the picture. Look how fat I am. And then I'm going to play, because you getting big. Then, oh, yeah. But I really don't like the way I look. And then when you get skinny, nobody like that. So just like she said, just do what makes you feel good. I know you've been reiterating that. What makes you feel good? Because the people out there, if you get skinny, they're not going to like it. When you get big, they're not going to like it. Do what makes you feel good.
Do what's best for yourself.
Do what's best.
What's best
Absolutely.
for you.
Absolutely. You know what?
I love this
Dr. Saleemah Fahmi, this has been, we're going to have to get you back.
Yes, sir.
Because you know what? There's so much that we wanted to talk about, but what we actually spoke on was it was in line. It was right on point. You know, it was great. It was very informative. And I think for a fact, I don't know, man, we might have to come up with a segment. It doesn't have to be long.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be long. It's just something every now and then just to, it's that food for thought. We want to feed people the information that they need in order to bridge the gap on where they want to go and what it takes to get there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes if you want to be healthy, you need to know what you need to do
you
in
need
order
that
to be.
reality check. A lot of people aren't living in reality.
You got to.
You can't eat fried chicken every day and be healthy and not get sick.
Not
It does
happening.
not go together.
Not happening.
Poor fried chicken.
And my grandfather.
I eat fried chicken
Fried chicken
sometimes.
tastes so good.
It's
I
so,
had to give
it
up.
is. It's so good.
Man, I
It's
have,
so
to
good.
I have to go get me a 2-piece and a strawberry and eat it in the parking lot of Popeye.
You couldn't even leave
That's
the
our
parking
country
lot.
I used to be.
You couldn't even leave the park with a pepper. You couldn't even do it. And
In the parking lot.
my grandfather loved fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, so good.
My grandmother made him fried chicken every single day. He died super duper early.
How
You understand what I'm saying? I can't even recall. My grandmother was like 86 or 89.
What year was he born?
I don't remember.
Oh, God, probably
but my grandmother lived almost another 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
She
Beyond
said,
him.
when I'm very observant of women, whenever I notice women do take care of. This one girl told me, said, Pikahsso, you know that nice gray hair you had? If you would have took better care of your hair would have still been long. But you wash your hair with shampoo, dishwashing liquid, all them silly hats. You thought that stuff was funny. Now you going bald. She said, I do hair, but you didn't take good care of your hair. I used to have nice gray hair long. Remember? Said, Pikahsso, you just destroyed your hair. And I noticed that most women, I don't know if it's in y'all. Y'all have something inside of y'all.
Nourishing.
Y'all have
nourishment.
but they skin like, man, look at her skin. So she right, man, we be doing, man, I'm washing my hair, I don't care. I wash my hair in soap. I'm washing my hair in palm olive. Just being sick.
See, now we got it was the palm olive.
That was the washing the hair. We don't get into the other.
Okay, we're not gonna get into
that. Was the Downy.
Okay, Downy. We ain't
I'm not gonna get into the Downy story.
I don't know what you was doing with the
But that was the Downy. That was another episode. But come on. But she was right, man. I'm not trying to beat our men up, but I'm just going on. I like to pick on myself because nobody can get mad. I can't get mad at me.
Right.
Man, I just like some of the stuff that I did.
Insane.
What was I thinking about?
Insane. But again, we're here right now we're going to talk about that so you don't wash your hair with Downy. We're going to talk about that so you don't do those things that we did, the mistakes that we made, so you can have the longevity in life and you can succeed all the goals that you want to succeed. Because in order to succeed, you have to be present. And in order to be present, you have to be somewhat healthy or viable in some form or fashion. So when we talk about starving, we're talking about not being famished just from food. It's about knowledge. It's about the things that you need in order to complete yourself and make yourself whole.
Well said.
You got anything else you want to say?
I'm just happy to be a part of this. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share, my little piece to this. Hopefully somebody heard something that I said. Hopefully it'll change someone's lifestyle a little bit and help them be a little bit better.
And everybody, go to the comment section. We'll post like the GoFundMe for Uptight and anybody else that we brought up during this episode and their family needs assistance as far as long-term care and things of that nature. So check that out. Again, Dr. Saleemah Fahmi, it's been a pleasure. It was so informative. This show was even better than I thought it was going to be. And it's great. It's awesome. And we'll see y'all at the next episode. Stay starving.
Starving. Oh, no.